Hello, hello. I am Michael's son. It has rained and rained and rained, and so I'm recording at home. So how are you today? Excerpt 9 of letter 2, which we will read today, covers the choosing and preparation of the disciples by Jesus. He explains to them at great length the revelations and the visions that he had or that he received in the desert. Okay, enjoy the reading. Letter 2, Excerpt 9. Election and preparation of his disciples. He explains to them in depth all that was revealed to him in the desert, and how it was that his consciousness was cleansed. I went away to the hills to pray about choosing disciples. When the conviction came to me that I would be guided as to whom to choose, I returned to Capernaum. I felt a strong inclination to go down to the waterfront to speak to some men I had seen listening intently to my teachings. Whether they would leave their fishing nets to join me remained to be seen. But when I called them, Simon, Andrew, James, and John, they came immediately, happy to help in my work of healing and teaching. Others also joined me as I began my work amongst the people. I left my host, Zedekiah's house, with his warm assurances I could return at any time. Thus it was that I commenced my mission as a teacher and healer, wandering wherever needed through towns and villages. Before setting out, I gathered together the young men who had consented and were eager to help me. They would be listening to my teachings and would be mystified by much that I wanted to say. It was vital I should first explain the background to all that had been revealed to me in the desert. I told them that despite my previously lazy way of life, I had always had a deep compassion for people. It was my compassion that made me turn from the God taught by the rabbis. When I spoke of my total rejection of a punishing Jehovah, I could see the doubt and shock in their faces. At considerable length, I explained that I questioned how it was possible to speak of a good God when there was so much suffering endured by innocent children. As I spoke, I saw their faces gradually relax. I continued to voice my previous doubts and anger until I saw their expressions change into those of acceptance and then full agreement. I discovered I had put to them their own doubts and questions which previously they had never had the courage to put into words. As we spoke together, I could sense a relief that they were no longer alone in their secret resistance to the rabbi's teachings. I told them there came a time when I began to realize ever more clearly that I was wasting my life. I wanted to change and felt very strongly I should go to John the Baptist as a starting point, as it were, to the commencement of a new way of living. I described what happened during my baptism and my 6 weeks in the desert. I explained that all my previous thoughts and beliefs, attitudes, arrogance, rebelliousness were gradually cleansed from my consciousness while I was going through the deep revelations and visions showing me the reality I now call the Father. I explained the nature of the Father and that this divine nature also constituted the divine will. I told them that it was man himself who, through wrong thinking and wrong behavior, shut himself off from the Father within him, and man alone, by first repenting and then by mental, emotional cleansing, could find his own way back to full contact with the Father. When this was accomplished, the full nature of the Father would be released into the person's mind, heart, body, soul and his life environment and experiences. As this happened, such a person would enter into the kingdom of heaven ruled by the Father, and also the kingdom of heaven would be established within the consciousness of the person. He would then have attained the purpose behind his existence. As I spoke to my disciples, I saw their reactions reflected in their faces. All doubt had gone. There was now a light of dawning comprehension and joy. These young men became enthusiastic believers and exclaimed, "This is indeed good news." However, after their first acceptance of all I said, there were times when they wondered whether all I said could be true. I understood this. To be prepared to rid themselves of the image of Jehovah so deeply imprinted in their minds took a great deal of courage. There were times when they spoke amongst themselves and questioned, who was this man claiming such marvels? Supposing they came along with me and it turned out that I was really a messenger from Satan, what then? That would be severely punished by Jehovah. They had much to lose. Their standing in society as sober, hard-working young men, their reputation as tradesmen and artisans, their loss of income, and biggest obstacle of all, the probable anger and rejection by their families. What would they receive in return? I told them I could not promise them any earthly reward for their help in spreading the gospel of good news. I had no doubt at all that wherever we went, we would be given food and shelter and would be well received by the people. I could only promise to them the truth that the Father knew their needs and would fulfill them and keep them healthy. I could also promise them that as they turn to the Father and trust the Father every step of the way, they would be happy in a way they had never been happy before. They would experience the kingdom of heaven themselves to the extent they set aside the demands of self and served other people. They would witness the healings, and these would increase their faith and give them courage to endure any discomforts of the journey. So how was your reading today? Well, Jesus finally chooses his disciples and prepares them and teaches them who the Father really is, what is life really about. And they believed him. They believed him joyfully in the beginning and were so happy with that new knowledge. But many times later they doubted and were undecided about what Jesus had taught them. And at times they thought, can this man be an envoy of Satan? What next? They doubted. Yeah, it took a great deal of courage to get rid of the images they had of Jehovah imprinted in their minds. And it takes a great deal of courage for you, I know, brother, you Christian or Catholic or a member of other religion, any other religion which has led you to believe in a personal God. It takes a great deal of courage getting rid of that image. But that is necessary if you really want to embark yourself in this wonderful adventure of spiritual growth, the true way to true freedom. Yes, that's what life is about. Achieving absolute freedom in the realization of the love that is God and that shows and lives in everything in you. But you will not be able to do that, brother, if you do not start by that, by getting rid of that image. I know it's not easy. but it is worth it giving a try. Follow the impulse in your heart, brother. Okay? Thanks so much for being here today with me. Please click the button below if you want to subscribe to my channel. Please give me a like if you like this video, and thanks for sharing with friends. I love you all. See you tomorrow.